Ah yes, the MCU. The one movie franchise that has kinda taken over the world by storm within the last couple of years. The franchise that has popped out some of the best movies the movie industry has ever seen. So, why is it that in recent times, it has taken an absolute downfall? Today, I will be talking about the progress and process of the MCU and its flaws and other things as well. But first, we're going to start at the very beginning of the conception of the MCU. First, we're going to start off with the movie that started it all, Iron Man. I mean, there's probably some out there who would argue that the Incredible Hulk was the first, but we'll save that for another time. Iron Man was the first movie that started the MCU's large-in dynasty. And at the time, not a lot of people knew about Iron Man. And he was known about, the Marvel fans and the comic book fans, but he wasn't really known on a mainstream level. See, back then, most people were actually more immaculately interested within the Hulk and Spider-Man, as evidenced by the 3 Spider-Man movies years prior. Once Iron Man was put into works, his popularity basically skyrocketed, and that movie was the catalyst for the MCU. With that start, brought in the newer movies like Thor and Captain America. And once those 2 movies proved to be successful, then came the Avengers. Along with a few other cameos from the other movies, all of the members of the Avengers were assembled. And when that first Avengers movie came out, I think it was the highest grossing movie at that very time. Once it was shown that it would do well, producers of the MCU realized that they had something special here, and thus began the dynasty of the MCU. From there, they started to include even more characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, started cooking up some decent movies for the most part. From there, they got sequels from the original movies that they popped out, some new introductions from newer characters, some of those cameo characters getting their own movies. And while some of these movies have been up and down, most of them were pretty successful. And when I really come to look back on it, I think the reason why a lot of people tolerated some of the movies was because there was a bigger picture within mind. Like for me personally, I really didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I honestly believe most people just viewed the end of that movie just to take a little bit of a look at Thanos. Because as they started to pour out more movies, his cameos got a little bit bigger and bigger as time went on. For instance, even though he never really appeared in the second Avengers movie, a large-in topic was actually related to Thanos himself. For instance, the reason why Tony created Ultron in the first place was to protect Earth from the threat from above. So as the movies continued to go on, even though they weren't all great, people were interested within the larger end story would develop. Once they got to Captain America Civil War, things started to get a little bit interesting. Spider-Man was introduced, Black Panther was introduced, Vision was introduced, or, well, he really wasn't introduced, but he kind of made his official appearance. Captain America Civil War felt more like an Avengers movie rather than an actual standalone film. Once everybody saw that, people started to get a lot more interested in the MCU. They realized something big was about to come. And with that, the MCU dropped the peak of its lifetime, Avengers Infinity War. That movie alone was the highest grossing movie of that time. Everyone was hooked onto the movie. Heck, it was hard to find any tickets for the movie because they were always sold out. I remember trying to find tickets for the movie and it was sold out for 3 weeks straight on end. And it had me straight upset. But the crazy part is that wasn't even the best movie. The one that came out after that was even crazier. Heck, I had to wait 4 weeks in order for me to even find the actual ticket for Avengers Endgame. This is around the time when the MCU was at its absolute peak. They brought almost every character they could find and threw it all into one movie at the final battle against Thanos. They made it look tough too. From there, Avengers Endgame ended up becoming the highest grossing movie pretty much of all time. So with Marvel at its high and Disney pretty much at its high, they were trying to wonder how they would move forward from this movie. Well, it's sad to say that this was their absolute peak, and you can't go ahead and peak again. So from there, Marvel decided to go ahead into the showbiz and also try to keep on pushing movies on out. However, this is when the downfall really started to happen. First, they decided to go with Spider-Man and kind of follow up on one of his original movies, which was not a bad idea. Then they released Black Widow, a character who was supposed to be dead, and the movie ended up doing not too well. After that was Shang-Chi, which was a pretty decent film. And then we got Eternals. For the hype that Eternals got, man, it flopped so bad. Like, for real, these folks are robots instead of actual humans. That just pissed me off. Spider-Man No Way Home was probably the best film after this phase, but that was it. Doctor Strange was really mediocre. Thor Love and Thunder was absolutely horrible. Like, what did they do to my man Zeus? Why is he doing this? This is absolutely trash. And Ant-Man Quantumanium was the absolute worst movie that I've ever seen. Like, what the hell is this mess? And they did Kang dirty in this one. As much as I hate the Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one actually wasn't even that bad. But then they followed it up with The Marvels. The Marvels! Ah! And what makes this even worse is the show side, which is the television variations, haven't been any better neither. WandaVision was okay, but Hawkeye was absolutely trash. Loki was pretty decent, but then She-Hulk absolutely fried my brain. Like, what is this? Secret Invasion had some hype to it, but underwhelmed with the way it was promoted. What's even worse, everything following up behind all those shows aren't even going to be good. The good part about it though is Marvel has recognized that it's made a few mistakes along the way. The bad part is they've already kind of announced a lot of stuff, and now that they got to change a lot of things up, things could get a little hectic. Well, at least they still got their main big, oh my god, what the hell? Anyway, Marvel is kind of in shambles right now, and they were trying to get things back to the way that they were. When you're losing actors, a lot of the characters that you've used have already died off, and things aren't going the way that you want to go. What do you guys think? Do you think Marvel's on the right path? Do you think they've taken a really big downfall? Do you think they will ever recover? Tell all your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace!